Hello, my name is Kirsten Kelly, and I am the committee chair of the Lake Elsinore Unified School District Dyslexia Committee. Today, I'm going to share a brief overview of dyslexia with you. The Dyslexia Committee has formed a mission statement, and our mission statement is, through collaboration with educators, families, and the community, we strive to increase awareness, empower teachers, and implement best practices to provide equity for students with dyslexia and ensure all students thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Today's goals and objectives are to be able to define and understand what dyslexia is and its primary characteristics. Why now? Why is Lake Elsinore Unified School District concerned about dyslexia now? Well, the state of California has recently passed legislation, SB 114, that mandates screening for reading difficulties, including dyslexia, for all K-2 students beginning in the 2025-2026 school year. In response, the State Board of Education is currently developing evaluation criteria, and an expert panel has been assembled to approve a list of suitable screening instruments. Once this list is released, our district will be able to proceed with implementation. The district has formed a dyslexia committee to help prepare for the rollout of the screener. Today is the first part of a three-part series on dyslexia. Today we will discuss what dyslexia is. The next presentation will cover why screen for dyslexia and possible signs of dyslexia. And finally, how to meet the needs of students with dyslexia. There are many reasons why students struggle with reading skills. One reason is dyslexia. Studies show that blank in blank students have dyslexia. Using your fingers, hold up your answer. Some research states 1 in 5 students have dyslexia. I've seen research that states even more students could have dyslexia, but the most common research says 1 in 5 or 20% of students have dyslexia. States have different definitions of dyslexia. California has adopted the IDA definition. IDA stands for the International Dyslexia Association. Their definition of dyslexia is: dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language. That is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Secondary consequences may include problems in reading comprehension and a reduced reading experience that can impede the growth of vocabulary and background knowledge. Do you know what all of these famous people have in common? If you said dyslexia, you are correct.
Take a moment to read the following. How was that? Frustrating? Slow? What were those sentences about? They're actually a simulation of the experience of dyslexia. designed to make you decode each word. Those with dyslexia experience that laborious pace every time they read. When most people think of dyslexia, they think of seeing letters and words backwards, like seeing B as D and vice versa. Or they might think people with dyslexia see saw as was. The truth is, people with dyslexia see things the same way as everyone else. Dyslexia is caused by a phonological processing problem, meaning people affected by it have trouble not with seeing language, but with manipulating it. For example, if you heard the word cat and then someone asked you, remove the C, what word would you have left? At. This can be difficult for those with dyslexia. Given a word in isolation like fantastic, students with dyslexia need to break the word into parts to read it. Fan-tas-tic. Time spent decoding makes it hard to keep up with peers and gain sufficient comprehension. Spelling words phonetically like S-T-I-K for stick and F-R-E-N-S for friends is also common. These difficulties are more widespread and varied than commonly imagined. Dyslexia affects up to 1 in 5 people. It occurs on a continuum. One person might have mild dyslexia, while the next person has a profound case of it. Dyslexia also runs in families. It's common to see one family member who has trouble spelling, while another family member has severe difficulty decoding even one-syllable words like catch. The continuum and distribution of dyslexia suggest a broader principle to bear in mind as we look at how the brains of those with dyslexia process language. Neurodiversity is the idea that because all our brains show differences in structure and function, we shouldn't be so quick to label every deviation from the norm as a pathological disorder, or dismiss people living with these variations as defective. People with neurobiological variations like dyslexia, including such creative and inventive individuals as Picasso, Muhammad Ali, Whoopi Goldberg, Steven Spielberg, and Cher, clearly have every capacity to be brilliant and successful in life. So here's the special way the brains of those with dyslexia work. The brain is divided into 2 hemispheres. The left hemisphere is generally in charge of language and ultimately reading, while the right typically handles spatial activities. fMRI studies have found that the brains of those with dyslexia rely more on the right hemisphere and frontal lobe than the brains of those without it. This means when they read a word, it takes a longer trip through their brain and can get delayed in the frontal lobe. Because of this neurobiological glitch, they read with more difficulty. But those with dyslexia can physically change their brain and improve their reading. With an intensive multisensory intervention that breaks the language down and teaches the reader to decode based on syllable types and spelling rules, the brains of those with dyslexia begin using the left hemisphere more efficiently while reading, and their reading improves. The intervention works because it locates dyslexia appropriately, as a functional variation in the brain, which naturally shows all sorts of variations from one person to another. Neurodiversity emphasizes this spectrum of brain function in all humans, and suggests that to better understand the perspectives of those around us, we should try to not only see the world through their eyes, but understand it through their brains.
Let's go ahead and look at these statements. People with dyslexia read backwards. Dyslexia only affects boys. Dyslexia is a sign of low IQ. Dyslexia is curable. All of these statements are false. People with dyslexia read words backwards. That is false. Reversing letters isn't always a sign of dyslexia. Dyslexia only affects boys. False. Dyslexia affects both genders almost equally. Dyslexia is a sign of low IQ. False. Dyslexia is not due to a lack of intelligence. It occurs in people of all backgrounds and levels and intelligent levels. Oops. And false. Dyslexia is curable. Dyslexia is a brain-based condition with lifelong challenges. But early intervention and classroom accommodations can positively impact reading ability and academic success. Let's talk about the reading brain. Reading takes place primarily in the left hemisphere of the brain. And we just learned from our video that people with dyslexia often rely on the right hemisphere of the brain. Reading is a relatively recent invention in human history. Our brains are naturally wired for speaking, but not for reading. In order to read, the brain must simultaneously process the sounds in a word, the letters in a word, the meaning of the word, and the context in which the word is used. This process involves different areas of the brain working together. Pathways are created to help make these connections in the brain. In the beginning, these pathways are like unpaved country roads, but with practice and good instruction, teachers can help smooth out these pathways and turn them into paved superhighways. Repetition can help pave these pathways. A gifted student may only need to see a word 1 to 4 times to orthographically or store that word in the orthographic memory. A gifted student may only need to see a word 1 to 4 times to orthographically map it, meaning they can recognize it without needing to sound it out. A typical student may require 4 to 15 repetitions with that word. A dyslexic student may need up to 200 repetitions or even more. This is because dyslexic students often rely more on the right hemisphere of the brain for reading. Teachers need to help these students develop and strengthen the connections in the left hemisphere through practice, repetition, and multisensory activities. Please join our dyslexia committee. We would love to have you join. This is a voluntary committee that meets the second Wednesday of every month. To be added to our committee email list, please email Kirsten Kelly at leusd.k12.ca.us. And that Kelly has an EY. Please mark your calendar. November 1st, we will be showing the documentary Right to Read. We will have a taco truck and raffle prizes. We will be raffling off one $50 Amazon gift card. The presentation will take place at the Lakeside High School Theater at 4 p.m. I would love to see everybody there. Come and enjoy some free tacos. In the next presentation, we will cover why screen for dyslexia, signs a student might have dyslexia, the nature of dyslexic students. Thank you so much for attending, and if you have any questions about dyslexia or questions or you want to join questions about the dyslexia committee or you want to join the committee, please email me, Kirsten Kelly. Thank you so much and have a fabulous day.